They thought their HOA power could silence a black family. But when the truth came out, the tables turned, and the fight for justice went nationwide. Family, picture this. Your daughter, full of joy, full of innocence, is hurt in the very neighborhood you worked so hard to call home. You seek justice, but instead of compassion, the system protects the powerful and leaves you broken. Tonight, you're about to hear a story of pain, of courage, and of a fight that flips the tables on those who thought they could silence the truth. And if you believe these stories must be told, hit that subscribe button right now, because this is the Untold Struggles. Tyrone and Latasha Williams saved for over a decade. Late-night shifts, second jobs, living tight, so that one day they could move their children into a safe suburban neighborhood. When they finally closed on a small house in Pinecrest Meadows, they felt victorious. Their 9-year-old daughter, Imani, loved it most, riding her scooter on the sidewalk, planting daisies with her mom, giggling as the sprinkler mist soaked her face. But trouble started almost immediately. The HOA president, Gregory Vaughn, a stiff, broad-shouldered man in his late 50s, made it clear during their welcome visit. "We run things a certain way here," he said, eyes narrowing. "We have standards, and we enforce them." Latasha felt the unspoken part. "We don't want you here." On a sunny Saturday, Imani set up a small art table outside their house. She had crayons, markers, and construction paper. She loved drawing hearts and rainbows, and she wanted to give her neighbors pictures as gifts. One neighbor smiled and took one. Another waved. Then Gregory pulled up in his silver truck. His face twisted with disdain. "What's this mess? You can't just set up junk in the common area." Latasha stepped out. "She's just drawing, Mr. Vaughn. She's not hurting anyone." Gregory's voice sharpened. "Rules are rules, and this neighborhood doesn't allow clutter in public view." Before Latasha could respond, Gregory leaned over and shoved the table. The crayons scattered. The wooden leg snapped. Imani screamed as a splintered edge cut across her hand. Blood dripped down her fingers. Latasha rushed forward. "You hurt her," Gregory sneered. "Control your kid. If you don't like the rules, maybe this isn't the neighborhood for you." At the urgent care, doctors stitched Imani's palm. The little girl winced, but held her mother's hand tightly. "Why'd you do that, Mama?" she whispered. "I wasn't doing anything wrong." Latasha's heart broke. "Because sometimes people don't see us the way they should. But we'll make sure he answers for this." The Williams filed a police report. They thought justice would come swiftly. After all, there were witnesses. But days later, they got the call. Case closed. Insufficient evidence. Gregory claimed Imani tripped, and the HOA's attorney backed him. The Williams refused to give up. They hired a modest lawyer and sued Gregory and the HOA. In court, Gregory sat smugly at the defense table, flanked by high-powered attorneys. Imani bravely testified, voice trembling. "He pushed my table, and I got cut." The defense attorney smirked. "Sweetheart, isn't it true you sometimes trip and fall when you play?" Imani shook her head, tears streaming. "No, he did it." But Judge Martha Reynolds, a longtime acquaintance of Gregory's, dismissed the case in less than an hour. Insufficient evidence to proceed. Case dismissed. Gregory grinned as he walked past Latasha. "Told you, you don't belong here." Defeated, but not broken, Latasha turned to the community. She told her story on Facebook. Local activists shared it. Then investigative reporter Darius Cole picked it up. His article read, "HOA harassment. The Williams family and the child who bled for breaking no rule." The piece exposed Pinecrest's HOA history of targeting black families, issuing fines for toys left outside, harassing kids for playing, even forcing families into foreclosure. The article went viral. Soon, protesters lined the street outside Pinecrest Meadows. Signs read, "HOA equals harassment of African Americans. Justice for Imani. Neighborhood or plantation?" TV crews arrived. Neighbors who once whispered now spoke openly. Under pressure, the state attorney's office announced a civil rights review. Gregory's smug smile began to fade. "Family, if you believe Imani deserves justice, if you believe no child should bleed while the system looks away, pause right here and hit that subscribe button, because this struggle is far from over. At a packed town hall meeting, Gregory tried to defend himself. This family is exaggerating for attention. They don't respect the rules that keep this community safe. Then, unexpectedly, one of his own neighbors, Susan McAllister, a white woman, stood. That's a lie. I saw him knock over that little girl's table. Enough is enough. Gasps filled the room. Cameras captured everything. The crowd turned. The HOA board, once loyal to Gregory, now looked uneasy. Weeks later, the case reopened under federal civil rights jurisdiction. This time, the presiding judge was Jerome Lawson, known for fairness and integrity. Dashcam footage from a neighbor's security camera was finally admitted. It showed Gregory's hand striking the table. Imani's scarred palm was presented as evidence. Judge Lawson's gavel came down. This court finds Pinecrest HOA and Gregory Vaughn guilty of discrimination and negligence. Significant damages will be awarded to the Williams family. For the first time, Gregory's smirk vanished. Standing on the courthouse steps, Latasha spoke to reporters. This isn't just about my daughter. It's about every family told they don't belong. We proved today that no HOA, no judge, no system can erase our humanity. Justice may be delayed, but it will never be denied. Cheers erupted. That night, Tyrone tucked Imani into bed. She held her stuffed bear and whispered, "We won, Daddy." But as Tyrone walked outside to lock the door, he noticed something chilling. A note taped to their garage door in bold black letters. You think this is over. Watch your back. The camera pans to Tyrone's face, tense and determined. The next week, strange things began happening. Tires on Tyrone's car slashed. Anonymous calls in the middle of the night. A dead raccoon dumped on their porch. Each time they reported it, the police shrugged. Could be kids. Nothing we can do. But Tyrone and Latasha knew. Gregory may have been exposed in court, but his allies on the HOA board weren't done. Imani started waking up from nightmares, clutching her scarred hand. Daddy, are they going to hurt us again? Tyrone tried to stay strong. No, baby. Daddy won't let them. But inside, he was breaking. Latasha worried too. Bills from lawyers were piling up. Tyrone picked up extra shifts. She saw the wear in his eyes. They want to scare us into leaving, she told him one night. But we're not moving. This is our home. Determined not to back down, Tyrone and Latasha attended the next HOA meeting. As soon as they walked in, the room grew tense. Gregory was gone, but his vice president, Harold Bennett, now sat at the head of the table. A tall, cold-eyed man, Harold spoke with venom. The Williams family has been nothing but disruptive, suing us, dragging our community's name through the mud. We will not tolerate continued violations. Latasha stood. Violations? You're the ones harassing us. You hurt our child. The crowd murmured. Harold banged his gavel. Order. If you can't abide by our rules, maybe you should reconsider living here. A week later, the Williams family received a notice in the mail. HOA fines totaling $2,500. Reasons listed: improper trash placement, unapproved flower arrangement, excessive noise. Latasha slammed the paper down. They're weaponizing the HOA against us. Tyrone clenched his fists. They're trying to bankrupt us. Not everyone in Pinecrest was silent. Susan McAllister, the neighbor who testified, visited them. You're not alone, she said firmly. People are afraid, but more of us are ready to speak out. Harold and Gregory have run this HOA like a private kingdom for too long. Susan connected them with attorney Camille Johnson, a fiery black civil rights lawyer. Camille listened, then leaned forward. They're retaliating. That's illegal. We're going to expose them again, but this time even bigger. Family, if you're still with me, if you believe no family should live in fear of their own neighborhood, hit that subscribe button right now. Because what happens next will shock you. Camille filed motions, demanding HOA financial records. Harold resisted, but the court forced his hand. Inside the files was evidence of something deeper. Thousands in fines disproportionately against black families. Secret payments funneled to contractors tied to Harold's brother. Misuse of HOA funds for personal security. Camille's eyes lit up. This isn't just harassment. This is corruption. But before the evidence could be filed, Tyrone was ambushed. Late one night, as he left work, a black SUV followed him. At a red light, two masked men jumped out, smashing his windshield, dragging him out. You should have left when you had the chance. They beat him, leaving him bloodied on the pavement. Tyrone barely crawled back to his car, whispering through broken ribs, "They won't win, they won't win." In the hospital, Latasha broke down beside him. "This isn't worth it, Tyrone. What if next time it's worse? What if it's Imani?" Tyrone, battered but resolute, grabbed her hand. "If we quit now, they've already won. I'd rather fight standing than run crawling." Latasha stared at him, tears streaming, then nodded. The next court hearing exploded like a bombshell. Camille presented the financial files, witnesses, and Tyrone's testimony. Judge Lawson leaned forward. "This court recognizes a clear pattern of racial discrimination and corruption by the Pinecrest HOA board. Effective immediately, federal oversight will be placed on all HOA operations." Gasps filled the courtroom. Harold's face turned pale. The empire Gregory built was crumbling. On the courthouse steps, Latasha spoke again. "They tried to silence us with fear. They tried to bury us under lies. But we stood firm, and we proved that even the smallest voice, a child's cry for justice, can shake the walls of power. This fight isn't just ours. It belongs to every family told they don't belong." Cheers erupted once more. That night, Tyrone came home from the hospital, moving slowly but determined. Imani ran into his arms. "Daddy, does this mean it's over?" He smiled weakly. "Almost, baby. Almost." But just as they settled in, Latasha opened the mailbox. Inside was a single envelope. She opened it, and her face went white. Inside was a photo of their house, taken just hours earlier, with a red X spray painted over it. The camera pans out. A shadow watches from a distance. Screen fades to black. To be continued. Family. The Williams won a battle, but the war isn't over. The forces that try to break them aren't done yet. If you believe this story must continue, if you believe their courage deserves to be seen, then like, comment, share, and subscribe to the Untold Struggles. Because this is more than a story. This is a fight for justice.